Hey everyone, welcome back to Picking Vintage. So every 2 weeks or so I'm going to do one of these videos where I show you what I've sold for the last 2 weeks. So things have been picking up. Actually for the last 2 weeks I've sold about 44 items. About half, a little more than half of those have been vintage items. You know, I keep an eye out for anything I think I can sell. But I try to focus on vintage, but lately I've been selling a lot of relatively newer things, including a aluminum baseball bat, a kid's aluminum baseball bat that I paid $1.50 for and sold it for $150. So that kind of pays off, kind of like the VCR I talked about in my last video that I had sold for $200. So I keep an eye out for stuff like that. So for this kind of review of what I've sold. This was one of the first ones during the 2 weeks. I had actually bought this up at Brimfield. If you saw my video where I talked about it, I bought a lot of things from a guy that was selling things out of a old toy store that it was a warehouse full of things, new in the packaging. This was this. I actually have a couple more of these that I've already relisted this. So I sold it for $20 and free shipping. So the shipping was about $7. So I, made about $12 on that. I think I paid $125 for everything, and I've pretty much already made my money back. So anything on top of that is pure profit. This I bought actually at a yard sale. The picture actually here isn't that great. It's a UPS airplane tie tack, and I bought a bunch of things at a yard sale for about $10, maybe $12, and in there were several UPS kind of employee service award type things. So I sold this for $10 with free shipping. The shipping was $1.50 for this, so that was a good turnaround. Now this was the big one. I did a video on this, that this is one of the coolest items I found in some time. This was a Technofix Lunar Expedition wind-up toy. It worked great. It was done in the 1970s. I picked this up for about $45 at an auction, a local online auction. So I was really excited to get it. I listed it up for $175. I took a best offer, $150. So that I was really happy to find this and then turn around and sell it pretty quickly. It was really cool item. Now if I had the original box, it would have been double the price, but still pretty happy with it. So this is kind of vintage, but this is a lot of Twilight Zone VHS. People still buy them. These actually went overseas, if I recall. So this was a whole collection of Twilight Zone episodes that I actually got for free. In one of the thrift stores, they don't deal much with VHS tapes, so whenever they get them, they give them away. And I saw this collection. Usually I don't pay much attention to VHS, but since I saw it was Twilight Zone, I figured it was worth picking up for free, and I sold it for $25. So, that's $25 that it was pretty easy profit. This was one of the items that I got in that lot of old toys, new in the package, Tootsie Toy, and sold it for $22, free shipping. So shipping again was about $7. So I made about $15 on this item. I have another one to sell. I haven't put it up yet. Actually, it's a little bit better condition, so that I'll do next. I got this a while ago from a flea market buy, a bunch of old paper that was from a contractor, and this is from the 1930s. This is Corning, early Corning ware, some of the glass that they would make for construction. And I put it up, $15, pretty easy turnaround. I've already made my money long ago on the paper that I got there, and happy to keep adding to that pile. So I bought a number of Matchbox and other cars a while back. I sold most of them. I pulled a couple out to sell individually. The rest I sold in a lot. This was one I sold individually, so $13, and then I think it was $4 to ship it, so $9. I paid, gosh, $3 for the pile of cars. So I did really, really well on that. I probably have made $30 or $40 off of that investment. Now, I had these for a while. I bought these at a yard sale, gosh, maybe 2 years ago. Had them in my booths in the antique mall, hadn't sold, so I put them online, sold them. I took an offer, $30, and they were going overseas. Now, the issue is they can't go overseas. I'm not sure why. I just got a message from eBay saying that they had to cancel the sale. The item doesn't get returned to me, but I get to keep the money. So, and the buyer gets their money back, so it's unusual. But kind of cool. These were early 1920s, 1930s, little revolvers. They not cap guns, but similar to cap guns. But they were pretty cool. Excited to sell those. Now I bought this up at Brimfield's. This was a Tiffany Studios receipt for a lamp. Now, if you know anything about Tiffany, they had done beautiful work in their lamps. So this was a receipt for a lamp. I paid $5 for, turned this around, sold it for $15 plus shipping. Shipping was $1.50. So, I didn't make a lot of money on it, but it was a cool piece, and I like passing on that kind of history to folks. Now, you might recognize this is something similar. I sold another part to a voltmeter. In my last video, I talked about it. I bought it for next to nothing at a yard sale. Couldn't sell the meter itself. The battery compartment was corroded, but I took off a couple of the pieces, and I've sold now both pieces. And pretty easy money. Wouldn't think of it. I thought I was going to have to throw the whole meter away, but I sold 2 pieces out of it, and so I've done pretty well. I think I took an offer on this one of $15, and so I did pretty well on that. So this isn't quite vintage. It is DVDs, but I bought these at a yard sale, and I had a feeling that it would be worth some money. So I paid $2 for this, turned it around, sold it for $25 plus free shipping. So shipping on this, since it was medium mail, I think it was $4, maybe $5 to ship. So basically a $20 profit on this item, and it sold very quickly. Now, you might recognize this from my last video. This again was from that toy lot. So I sold the first one to a gentleman, and then I relisted and sold. I had a second one that I had bought from all those toys, and the same guy bought it, and for $50. Again, shipping was free shipping, so the shipping I think was $7 or $9 on this one. So again, I paid $125 or so for the whole group. So between this, the other tank, and those little other toys, I've made my money. Unfortunately, this is the last tank I have. He had more of them there, and if I knew they were going to sell for this kind of money, I would have bought all of them. There was probably another 10 tanks. New old stock, never been used, never been played with. They're just dusty. That was it. So now I wish I had bought the rest of them, but I only picked up 2 of them. Oh well. This was something that I actually bought some time ago. I bought a bunch of furniture from a lady, went into the house. I think it was their mother's house, and in there were a bunch of dolls and things. And then my daughter said, "Well, let's buy them." And so my daughter was with me, and we were able to get all these dolls for $20, and most of them were old dolls, antique dolls. I sold those in my antique booth. We probably already made $100 off of that initial investment. This we held on to, and I listed up on eBay. I took an offer of $75 on this thing. So again, off of that $20, we made close to $200. So that was a pretty good turnaround. Now this money will go to my daughter's college funds. I also talked about this. I bought this recently. I think I showed it in one of my videos. This was a Victorian era, actually 1850s. It had a lot of poetry, sayings, Bible quotes written in here, along with lithograph die cuts. Beautiful, beautiful piece. You know, again, 1850s. Somebody had rebound the book, and this kind of not the best choice for the print for the cover, but it was still a really, really neat piece. I paid $5 for it. I sold it. I took an offer, I think, of $35 on this one, so I turned it around for $30, and I think it sold within a couple days. Now, this was a buy I bought a little bit ago. This was, I bought it up in Massachusetts maybe 2 years ago at an outdoor antique place out there, and I had a number of them that I sold over the years, but this was the last bit of them, and I just was tired of them in my antique booth, so I grabbed them, posted them as a whole lot, sold them up on eBay. So there are 29 of them left. I took an offer, $35, and they're on their way to England. I just shipped them out this morning. So these were all 1950s, 1960s science fiction magazines, really incredible covers. That was the favorite part. I was surprised they didn't sell better than they did. I was trying to sell them for $5 a piece in my antique booth, but I don't know why they were tough to sell. They're great graphics, really, really cool stuff, early science fiction. But so I'm happy to get my money on it. I've made money on the overall sale, but I expected these to sell faster than they did. So when I was up in Brimfield, I bought a whole group of photos, mostly because the majority of them were sailing oriented, 1930s. But within there were some photos of other things, and so I pulled them out into different groups and listed them actually just a couple of days ago, and I already sold 3 of them. So this was one of them. This was a farm up in Massachusetts, 2 different farms, and I was able to sell them pretty quickly, but they're really, really well done photos. And this sold for $10. I paid $40 for the whole group, but it was mostly for the sailing photos, which I've listed for $150. So hopefully between this and then the next one was a Harley Davidson motorcycle that was stuck in a snowstorm. Again, 1920s early. Now, if the contrast was better on the motorcycle, I think it would have been, I could have sold it for more. But it's still pretty cool. He had identified everything in the back. Ira Bumpus in snowstorm in Taunton, Mass. So between that, I sold this one for 10, this one for 10, and then this one for 5. This was a camp in Massachusetts, Punkapogue camp, which is still open and going, and the cabins haven't changed much. So this was from 1927, and so I listed that up. I sold all 3 of them within a couple of days. Pretty exciting. Now I hope I sell those the $150 ones. I sold this. I bought this at when I went out to a few months ago. I went out to the Shenandoah Valley, and I went to a great antique store out there. Tons of stuff. I found this buried in there. I think I paid a couple bucks for it. Turned around, sold it for $25, free shipping, but shipping will be pretty cheap, and it'll just be a couple bucks. So that'll be a pretty good profit turnaround, and I just liked it. It was just a really neat piece here. It's Hawaiian Mai Tai probably 1960s, I would guess. Most of them that you see when I looked up, their airline is titled right here. And but cool piece, glad to sell it. And here's another part of the UPS that I had bought. This was again in that group from a yard sale. So between this one and the tie tack, I've made 20 bucks. This one would be shipping will only be a couple dollars on this. So between the tie tack and this, I've already doubled my money pretty much, and I have some watches and other things in there that I'll be able to sell. So that's what I sold. So again, this was about half of all the things I sold on eBay this last 2 weeks. Things have been picking up. I had a slow start selling online, but as I've gotten my numbers up, I think I have about 170, 180 items up listed now. When I first started this venture, gosh, I guess a month or two ago, I had about 30. So I've really ramped up how many things I have listed, and because of that, I've also ramped up my sales. So that's how I've been doing for the last couple weeks. In the next 2 weeks, I'll hopefully have another one with maybe even more sales to show you. Until then, thanks for coming along for the ride, and we'll talk with you later.